All right, today's lesson is on estimates of sums and differences. Estimates, what is sums?
The sum is the answer to an addition question.
And so what's the difference?
The answer of a subtraction.
Answer of a subtraction. Now, these estimates, does that mean it needs the exact answer? No. Estimate is close to it. Okay? Baseball, we call it in the neighborhood. Okay? Somewhere close. Okay? And that's what we're looking for. Now, estimates. You could have two estimates and they could be both correct. Because they are both close. One might be a little higher than what the actual answer is. One may be just a little bit lower than what the actual answer is. Now today, they are going to talk about two ways to estimate. One is by front-end estimation, and the other is just plain rounding. Okay? They are both different. Okay? Front-end estimation is exactly what it is. You use the front end. That's it. The one they give you in the book is 5, 3, 2, 1. Now, I'm going to do this two ways. You guys over here, I'm going to do the same one, but we're going to use rounding. And I'm going to show you how you could end up with two different answers. Now, with front end, what's the front number?
4, 5, and 3.
4, 5, and 3. You don't change them. You don't do anything to them. All you do is you add them. 4 and 5 is
9.
plus 3.
12.
What happens to these?
0.
They become zeros. Okay? So you're going to get an answer of 12,000. Rounding. You're going to look at this number, but this one is going to tell you what you're going to do. In other words, 4, because this is a 7, 7 is above 5, is 5 or above. So that means you're going to round this one up. Okay? All of a sudden, that's going to become rounds to 5,000. Okay? This one has a 3. 3 is below 5. So that means we keep this one the same. And everything thereafter becomes zeros. You have a 3, but this is a 7. 7 tells the 3 you got to go up 1 because 7 is above 5. So we are going to round that up to 4,000. Now when I add those, 5 and 5 is 10, plus 4, 14,000. So the estimate from rounding is 14,000. And the estimate from the front end is 12,000. Is one of them wrong?
No.
Nope. I bet that your answer, if you were to add this up, would be somewhere between these two numbers. Okay? So that means that this is probably an overestimate and this one is probably an underestimate. Okay? But the front end, that's usually one of the easier ones to do because all that you're looking at is that front number. And that's it. Okay? Any questions over this? Yes?
Wait, what about the subtraction?
Subtraction's the same thing, except you're only gonna have two numbers. Okay? You'd have two, and you'd have a subtraction sign. So you would just be if it's front end subtraction, okay, good question. If it's subtraction, you just do the front end. That's it. You don't change anything back here. And you don't change anything here, you take that number as it is. Ryan?
What about the subtracting with rounding?
With rounding, then you would round first, then you subtract. Here with addition, we have three numbers, which you can do. Subtraction, you're only doing two. Okay? So what you would do if it was rounding is you would round them. I mean, this here, if you were rounding it, you would end up with 0 as your answer if you were subtracting those two. Okay? And I can tell you right now, because we just did that identity property, that this isn't 4,789, 4,789 to come out to 0. But the estimate is going to be close to 0. Yes?
So whenever it says estimate each number difference, you do front end estimation?
That's front end. If it tells you front end estimation. Numbers 1 through 4, we're going to do certain number of them in here, but 1 through 4, that's front end. And then 5 through 8, that is your rounding. Okay? Then you're going to have 9 through 16. Those are mixed. If you look, there's addition and subtraction through there. So not on, and you can do in the hardcover book. In the workbook, is that what you were looking at? Number 1 through 8 in the workbook and the more practice, that is both addition and subtraction. It says estimate each sum or difference. You can use either way, okay? And then down at the bottom, it tells you estimate, use rounding or front end estimation, okay? Now, in my book, for the answers, this is where it gets really tricky. And each year, I have to tell the kids this. My book is gonna tell me one answer. Does that one answer mean it's correct? No. But it needs to be one that you can prove. Now, this, don't start. This is where you have to pay attention. When you are doing your book work in your composition, okay, make sure that you write down exactly if you rounded using front end or if you rounded using estimation, the rounding part, okay? And you have to write it down so that you can prove it, okay? I may say the answer is 12,000, and you're gonna go, wait, I've got 14,000, and I'll say, what do you have, how did you do it? Tell me what you did. And then you would say, oh, I ended up with 5,000, 5,000, and 4,000 and got 14. Okay, I can accept it. But if you can't prove what you did, I can't accept it. You might just be guessing. So today's work, in your composition book, you have to write down what you estimated. I don't want the problem, like this, if you do rounding, I don't want the problem. I want written down what you estimated. Does everyone understand that? Okay? Front end, you don't really have to write it. You can put down that you did front end estimation, but all you're doing is you're adding those front numbers. You're not changing them one bit. I know that if you were to round this, it would round to 5. I don't want you rounding and then adding. You're combining things, okay? But you have to write down what your estimate is, then add it, then subtract it, whatever you're doing, to prove it to me, okay? This is where in class, when we're checking, I'll say, well, the answer is 4,000. And you, wait, I got 5,000. And then somebody will say, wait, I got 9,000. 4,000 and 9,000, there's a big gap there. So more than likely, you might have added wrong or done a rounding or an estimating wrong, okay? And I won't accept it, okay? And that's why you have to write it down to make sure that it is correct, okay? This one you do have to write, okay? Cece.
In the hard book, are we doing all even or
All.
What?
What?
It's not that hard.
It's not that hard.
I've
I should have made you do all yesterday.
I did all yesterday.
Yeah, you're
I've
right.
been write about it. Okay.
Huh?
You gonna write about it?
No, you're not gonna do the right
I've
about it.
been all the whole time.
I don't like to write about it.
Is it off? Luke? Is it off?